Welcome to Confronting the Crisis. I'm Mark Spivey, licensed clinical social worker with Halifax Health, and I'd like to welcome you today to our talk specifically on the mental health component of what a crisis does like this, not just to the hospital, but to our community. What exactly is a crisis? A crisis is an emotionally stressful event that creates a dramatic change in one's life experience. In other words, a crisis is a psychosocial event. The psychological part is the fear, and the sociological part we all know now is social distancing. Human beings are built, we're made to grow in the midst of a crisis. If you think back over life and you think back over time, you look at crisis, survival, thrive, regain control, survive, crisis. We have a history of being able to weather difficult times, especially in Florida. Floridians are very aware of hurricanes and preparedness, but this crisis feels and is different. When life is good, our mental health survival skills hibernate. But in times of trouble, they kick in much like a generator does, backing up our power during a hurricane. But like most people, we tend to not maintain our mental health generators throughout the year for various reasons. And so when it's time for the generator to kick in, sometimes the generator either doesn't kick in or it sputters. So I'm here today to offer a few comments on how to help your mental health generator, as it were, maintain itself, and how to keep calm during a crisis. In fact, I've used the word calm, C-A-L-M, as an acronym that gives some tips on how to get through this moment that we're experiencing in time. C stands for control everything that you can. Control what you can. As human beings, we don't like it when things are out of our control. And certainly, coronavirus has taken control from us in so many ways. And there are so many of us suffering and hurting in so many specific areas of our lives that it's too numerous to mention right now. But under control what you can, I've got some tips that may or may not be useful for you. The first one is unplug unnecessary news. Unplug unnecessary news. I've noticed through phone calls and telehealth visits that a lot of people are staying glued to all of the different channels and media, and psychologically, this is not healthy. In fact, it contributes to anxiety. My recommendation is you select one credible news outlet, filtered carefully, and check it not necessarily every day, but I would recommend you check it every other day, because much like a soap opera, there won't be much changing. So it's important to avoid what I'm calling the COVID coma of every day looking at the numbers, because it isn't so much the numbers of cases that get confirmed, it's not so much the amount of deaths, while awful, it's about the overall perspective and the timing that we're all trying to figure out, what do I do in the days to come? So under control everything you can, in your own way and in your own life. My first recommendation is that you unplug anything that's unnecessary and take some of that extra stimulation and stress out of your life. Number two, under control what you can, is relieve eligible financial pressures in your life. Relieve eligible financial pressures in your life. Many of us are on furlough, many of us have lost our jobs completely, and many of us live uncertain financial futures, not to mention social futures. And the last thing that we need right now is additional financial pressure. And as a state of national emergency, all businesses stand ready to help. What do I mean by relieving financial pressure? I'm thinking of the biggies: your mortgage, your student loans, your credit cards, and your car payments. All of these companies stand ready to defer and delay and push back anywhere from 3 to 6 months. Each company is unique, but do not be shy about calling and asking. Your priorities right now are obvious, like they are in hurricanes: food and utilities. Focus mainly on reserving and conserving your cash for those particular problems. My third recommendation would be to adhere to your medication protocols. If you're on medication for diabetes, if you're on medication for hypertension, now is not the time to hoard and portion it out and be afraid that your pharmacy is going to run out. Make phone calls to your physician, make phone calls to your pharmacist, and arrange so that you have enough medication to get yourself through this difficult time. My next suggestion is mindfulness. Be mindful of the thoughts that come into your mind. In a crisis like this, we tend as human beings to think catastrophically. We think the worst. And sometimes our imagination isn't our friend. So my recommendation is think conscientiously, not catastrophically. Be mindful of your thoughts. Try and catch yourself when you're getting out of control and pull yourself back in check with a more positive narrative that works again for you. Finally, in this particular C, control everything that you can, I'd like to suggest that you practice faith, not fear. Now let me explain faith. When I say faith, or when anyone hears the word faith, they typically think of church or religion. I'm using faith in a larger sense. While some people certainly use religion and church as a portion of how they express their faith, I'm talking about a different kind of faith, a broader perspective. I mean faith in the sense of God, yourself, the universe. Many have faith in history itself. They've seen historically how we go through challenges and we survive and we come back, and that human beings are resilient. Whatever it is in your individual lives that you hold on to and believe in and value, that's your sense of faith. Practice it and invest in it. Moving on to A. A in CALM stands for ask for help. We all know that some people on this planet have trouble asking for directions. This is not the time to practice that. Ask for help. Help is everywhere when you need it. Seek guidance from counselors, professional mental health counselors. Seek guidance from mentors, colleagues that you trust. Use your phone. Use FaceTime. Use telemedicine, telehealth. Use whatever means you have to use. I'm still seeing patients in my office 10 feet apart wearing masks for the ones that want that face-to-face contact, because some things require a face-to-face situation because they're very sensitive and they're very emergent. Other things can be handled by phone. It's important during this time to ask for the help that you need. Now, a lot of you might be thinking what many think. They think that mental health is a sign that you're weak or that you can't handle your problems. It's just quite the opposite. Mental health is an opportunity for you to validate, essentially get normalization and realize that it's not just you that's feeling this, it's a lot of people that are feeling this. So speaking to someone about this helps validate how you feel, let you understand that you're not alone in it, and get tips on how to get through it, and to know that you're not by yourself is itself useful and meaningful. It offers reassurance. It's not a sign of weakness. It's not a sign of vulnerability. It's really a sign of good judgment and personal self-care. And many of us aren't good at this, particularly in the healthcare field, but in the community, we just tend to let ourselves be last while we take care of everybody else. That's a nice thought, but in a time like this, we have to practice good self-care. So A in CALM stands for ask for help, wherever it is and however you need to do it. Find someone you trust. We are everywhere, ready to help you, working 24/7. L in CALM stands for live your version of your best life or your best normal. My first piece of advice is common sense, but we forget it in times like this. Establish a daily routine. Human beings crave routine. We need it. We're built around, in fact, we live our lives around our jobs and our routines. Well, many of us don't have jobs or time frames any longer. So our routine is completely thrown off, which means we are mentally thrown off, and our emotions of depression and anxiety, our sleep is off, our eating patterns are off. Raise your hands, even though I can't see your hands, if you've gained 3 to 5 pounds, probably in the first week. Simply because food is a comfort and we don't know what else to do, and we're trying to adjust to this new kind of imprisonment that surprises most of us, and we're not prepared to deal with it. So my suggestion is, whatever it is in your daily life, establish a routine that works for you. Simply get up, stretch, go for a walk around the block or a jog, have your coffee, have your shower, make your bed, get dressed for your day. Even though your day might look different, the importance of the routine is crucial. Absolutely crucial. Just making your bed, just getting a shower and getting dressed, psychologically signals to yourself, I am accomplishing something. You see, we have to wake up each day and have a purpose. For many of us, our job is a purpose. It's why we get up. We have a reason to go to work. Even though sometimes we hate our jobs, or we hate aspects of our jobs, or we find our jobs boring, we don't realize how much we need this routine until it's taken away from us. That's also human nature. We don't realize how important something is until it's suddenly not there in the same way that it used to be. So establish a routine. Create something that's normal for you, whatever that happens to be in your unique world. Many who are listening to this are furloughed, or they're victims of jobs that have literally evaporated. They're simply gone. It's ironic. Only now is it really ironic to someone like me who has listened to many of you over the years talk about how their job doesn't make them as happy as it needs to. I've had people actually say to me, Mark, I'm good at my job. I kind of like it, but it's not where I'm supposed to be. And then I will say something like, well, where is your real passion? Where is your real love? And they'll tell me quickly about their passion and their true love. Well, unfortunately, accidentally, universally, by default, nature is giving you an opportunity to perhaps explore what you truly love. What you truly love. And sometimes, if we're not forced or pushed into a situation, being human, we'll procrastinate and put it off. We'll put off making decisions. Well, coronavirus is forcing us to make decisions and think about the meaning and purpose of our lives and how we're going to spend the rest of our days after we get through this particular unique bump in the road. We shape our lives around our work, and for many of us, our work is more than just a paycheck, it's our family. There are a lot of people, and I say this jokingly, it's not funny, but it is, who really can't wait to go to work because their family is a lot of work. So going to work is relief. Well, now they're home all the time. So that's a challenge. They don't have that buffer anymore. So we're having to all learn new coping skills and get to know each other in ways that aren't always as comfortable or easy as we might imagine. If you need help with that, ask, reach out and ask for guidance on relationship issues, communication issues. It's very easy to suspend communication and to just neglect relationships when we spend 12 to 15 hours of our work. And then we come home, have our dinner, have our glass of wine, and go to bed and start over again. Well, now we're forced. We're forced to get better at doing what we used to be expert at 50 plus years ago. So there are some perks in situations that are like this. Crises can create opportunities that we have to look for and seek out. So I'm trying to encourage you to think of those things. Another suggestion that I like to call is return to reliables. Reliables for me is good old-fashioned writing things down. Sticky notes, postcards, love notes. I often recommend that couples and relationships and families write down notes and have scavenger hunts and have fun the old-fashioned pen, pencil, and paper way. Just to reestablish relationships. Write down a secret that you thought someone didn't know, or write down something that you'd like in your life. It's a way for you to reconnect, and it's a way for you to help the community. Many of you at home have done pretty much very well at staying at home, but you want to do more. So help frontline people who are out there, your mail people, your garbage people, people who work in the grocery stores and the pharmacies, people who work in healthcare. You don't have to get in your car and just drive by and honk. You can write notes and send them in. We'll sanitize them and put them right in front of them. We are encouraging you to do anything and everything outside of yourself, because volunteering and helping lifts your own spirit and your own soul, and it gives you a sense of purpose. Maybe you'll spend an hour during the day offering opportunities to answer emails. Maybe you'll start a sort of mail ministry or pen pal kind of thing. You'd be surprised what you can find to do to make yourself feel useful and better about yourself while you wait. The waiting game is difficult. Practice what I'm calling the 5 pillars. Now, for those of you who've heard me talk before in the hospital or in the community, you'll know what these are. The 5 pillars are very simple. Pillar number 1 is sleep. This should not be a problem for most of us right now. Many of us might be getting too much of it. But sleep is restorative, and it is useful in so many ways, particularly in mental health and with anxiety. It lets us rebuild our lives and strengthen our mental selves throughout the night. Food. Try and eat food that boosts the immune system. Try and eat food that's good for you. Have your junk food if you'd like, but don't do it until you've also had the good stuff that improves your ability to fight off not just coronavirus, but any kind of infection. Proper nutrition also is good for the brain and helps you deal with difficult times. 3, fluids. Keep yourself well hydrated. Make sure that you're drinking enough. And I'm not just talking about the negative stuff, even though I know many of us, myself included, sometimes we'll reach for a glass of wine or 2 or 3. That's a natural coping mechanism. Later on, I'm going to be talking about negative habits. Sometimes we have to learn how to create little boundaries to stop ourselves so we can still enjoy our habits, but not enjoy them so much that they become detrimental to our mental and physical health. Number 4 is movement. The 4th pillar is movement. Now, I say movement to fool people because what I really mean is exercise. I know somebody who joined a gym and he takes 20 minutes to ride to the gym. Then he circles the parking lot for 5 minutes to find a spot close to the front door. And then he spends 8 minutes going up an escalator, all for the purpose of doing a 15-minute cardio workout. That is very American in our thinking. Gyms aren't open right now, so movement is key. Well, you might say, Mark, movement actually works because clearly a lot of people in the community are having no problem whatsoever with movement because we have no toilet paper anywhere. Hopefully you're laughing at that. Number 5 is meditation. Now, when I say meditation, people often imagine somebody with a big belly sitting like this. I'm not talking about that, although that is a kind of meditation. Meditation is music. Meditation is films, breathing, yoga, prayer. It's reading. It's being near water, walking on the beach. Basically, meditation is whatever brings peace and harmony and joy and makes your heart sing instead of making your heart sick. And those are my 5 pillars. Our last letter in the acronym CALM, C-A-L-M, is M. M stands for manage your emotions. Acknowledge losses. Deaths can occur on multiple levels. We often hear the word death and we immediately assume physical body death. But losses can occur in multiple ways. Loss of job. Loss of freedom and independence to go outside on our own terms. Loss of being able to shop in ways that used to calm us down. Loss of loved ones. Loss of jobs that we love and need. Also, loss of hugs, loss of touch, loss of handshakes. These things we've had for so long, we probably didn't realize how much comfort they brought to us. We probably didn't realize what they meant to us until they were taken away. Many people today are having to spend their last breathing hours without their family around them for safety reasons, and very good safety reasons. This is challenging. This is difficult. As a chaplain, as well as a licensed clinical social worker, I'm often involved in the dying process, and I get to see firsthand how challenging it is for people to let loved ones know how much they love one another, especially during these difficult times. It's very, very challenging. It's very, very, very hard. And we're finding creative ways, but they're not going to be lasting creative ways. Allow yourself to feel what you feel. If you feel angry, scream. Find somebody who can take it, or scream into a pillow. If you want to laugh, laugh. If you're sad, be sad. Whatever you're feeling, those feelings are normal, and they should be roller coaster. If you're kind of even-keeled, you might want to ask yourself why that's the case. I recommend you start a personal memoir and call it For Such a Time as This. Because as awful as this is, we have lived to see a time that no other will see. This is a unique moment in history. Life as we know it has literally halted and is being rewritten right in front of our eyes. And many of us will be involved in the rewriting and the reshaping, and that's opportunity. Every crisis always offers opportunity. Beware of what I call magical thinking. Sometimes our imagination glamorizes the past. It glamorizes things in ways that aren't really true. For example, yesterday or the day before, someone said to me, "Mark, I wish things were back to the way they used to be." And I looked at him and I said, "You hated the way things used to be. The way things used to be for you weren't so hot. All of a sudden, you want them back." He laughed and he realized what he had said. We don't realize our emotional, our psychological, our sociological, and our mental position until everything is pulled out from under us and we have to reevaluate and reflect on who we are and how we breathe and think and feel and what is meaningful and purposeful and what our place is in this world. I said it earlier, a lot of people have shared with me privately, "Mark, I'm good at my job, but I don't like it. It's not who I am. It's not what I was meant to do." And I'll ask them, "What is it then that you were meant to do?" And they'll quickly say what it is they were meant to do or what makes them happier. And I would invariably follow up with, "Well, how come you're not doing it?" And the answer would be a myriad of things. "Well, I need the paycheck," or "it's difficult to do this or that." Well, now coronavirus is forcing our hand. Things that we would procrastinate or put off, or basically out of fear, we make no decisions and we don't move. Now we're being forced to consider creating a way to do what makes our heart happy and to fulfill our passion. Crises can open a window for changes that are positive, sometimes unconsciously things that we have been procrastinating and putting off. In other words, what I'm saying is seize the day. Seize this opportunity as a chance for you to not only grow personally but professionally. To conclude, I'd like to offer a few one-liners that have inspired me since I was young. They may or may not inspire you. Keep the ones you like. Number one, learn to love what is. Learn to love what simply is. Try and avoid speculation, "Well, I wish he was," and try and avoid, "Well, I wish he used to be." Don't look into the past. You used to be this. Look at what is and try and accept it and embrace it and love it as is. Interestingly enough, I'll say this for those who share my belief in God. God loves us as is. And boy, we are all a piece of work. So, learn to love what is. Laugh at yourself. Find ways to create moments of laughter. Laughter eases anxiety and it raises endorphins and feel-good chemicals in the brain. Laughter is good for the soul. It's good for the heart. It's good for the psyche. It's good for mental health. Let it be. Things will work themselves out. They always do. Learn to let it be. Just wait a little while. Most things are not emergencies, and watch them unfold and fix themselves. Be prepared, but not panicked. Be prepared, but not panicked. We use this in hurricane season. Have your preparation survival kit, but don't panic. We've all seen how this operates. Choose quality over quantity. Choose quality over quantity. Reevaluate your stuff in life. Now's the time, I'm sure you're doing it already, when you're going through cabinets, when you're going through the garage, maybe you're going through storage bins, and you're looking at all the stuff and the crap that you've accumulated, which really hasn't meant anything to you, and now you're seeing it for what it really is. Reevaluate it. See if it's important to you. If there's emotional attachment, keep it, or evaluate whether that's something you want to continue to do. Do what you love. Do more of it. If it's painting, if it's writing, if it's learning a language, now's the time to do that. Stop multitasking. We have taught ourselves in America that multitasking is actually a good trait. Brains weren't designed to do that. Try slowing down your pace and doing one thing at a time. Learn how to be alone with yourself. I often quote philosophers who say, until a person can sit alone with him or herself in their room, they will never truly be at peace or have happiness. Well, we all know in America, don't we, how we distract ourselves from ourselves with everything from technology to events and activities. It's difficult to be alone with oneself when one doesn't always like aspects of oneself. Now we're being forced in certain ways to reflect and be alone with ourselves. This is extremely useful, not just for now, but as we move forward in our lives. Declutter your email, declutter your closets, declutter things in your life that are clogging up your ability to be joyful and happy. Work on your negative habits. And by negative habits, I don't mean improve them. You're probably already very good at the negative habits. Pick one and decide to successfully unlearn it. Habits are learned, they can be unlearned. Take this time to work on yourself. Get comfortable doing nothing. A lot of us feel guilty when we do nothing. Doing nothing is actually quite healthy mentally, psychologically, and physically. It's okay to have a day or 2 or 3 of just binge watching, doing nothing. That is legitimate rest and recuperation. One of my favorite one-liners is, you are stronger than you realize. And sometimes you are stronger than you want to be. And for those of you out there that are listening, you'll understand that second one, because a lot of people don't want to be as strong as they really are. And it's easy for them to take a role of passivity or victimization because it's always worked for them in the past. Your strength is always present. All you have to do is grab it and recognize it. It's very important for you to realize that you're stronger than you realize. You always have been. Look at your past. Look at what you've already come through. Look at what you've accomplished and conquered. That's a great benchmark for how well you're going to get through this. Be your own superhero. Show up for yourself first. Don't let anybody else, anywhere, tell you how to feel or determine whether you're happy or not. You are in charge of being you. It is your job to be you. Make sure that you keep that job description as your own. Be your own superhero. And my final piece of advice might sound morbid, but in my line of professional work, it's every day. I recommend you consider writing and completing your will. I also recommend that you do your advance directives. because these are things that we need in moments of crisis, and they're almost never done. Now we have time on our hands to think about, what is it I want? How far do I want people to go to try and spare my life? What do I want for my family? What would I like for end-of-life care, for palliative care? Get these papers written, get this stuff handled, and get it put into a file, and get it finished. Because these are things we always look for when those moments catch us and catch us by surprise, and they're non-existent. Well, now you have an opportunity, especially when life has kind of suspended your regular world, to think about, holy cow, what really matters to me? What do I really want? What do I need? Put it in writing. Get it handled now. You'll be glad you did. I want to thank you for taking time to listen to these very simple suggestions. I want you to be aware that I've tailored them somewhat for our Halifax Health, Volusia County, Flagler County community. These are part of a longer series that I have that I do on how to combat or embrace chaos. But I tried to make this so that the people that we all love and know in the area can benefit from unique situations that are particular to us right now. We will come through this. We always have. Life will look different, but I suspect it'll be better. Love each other, take care of yourselves, forgive one another. Since charity begins at home, start with yourself. Learn to let things go and make good use of your time while you have time. Thank you.